So you want to know exactly what it costs to live in San Diego? Well, then stick around because I'm going over our housing prices, food prices, activities, and basically everything else you got to pay for. Hey guys, my name is Nenad and I'm a real estate advisor in San Diego. So if you have any questions about life around here, our real estate market, or really anything else that you want to know, then just shoot me an email or send me a text over at my personal number. All right, so let's start things off with our housing prices. And by now, everyone knows that San Diego is expensive because it's basically all over the news at this point. So depending on where you're moving from, the prices here might seem absolutely insane. But there's still a ton of people from New York, LA, and San Francisco that move out here because for them, San Diego still looks like a really good deal. Okay, so let's say you're absolutely set on buying a house here. Well, the median price is just under 1.1 million, and for condos and townhomes, we're at about 675,000. Now let's go run the numbers and see exactly what your monthly payment's gonna be. So we'll do a 20% down payment, 6.5% interest rate, property tax is about 1.2%, and for home insurance, I'm gonna estimate about $3,500, and if there's a monthly HOA fee, that'll go right in here. All right, let's go ahead and hit calculate, and we're gonna get $6,953 a month. But let's say after seeing that monthly payment that buying is just completely out of the question for you, well then renting a 1-bedroom apartment is right around $2,400 a month. But let's say you need a little more space for the rest of the family, well then a price for a 3-bedroom jumps up to $4,200. And don't forget, you gotta pay for all the utilities every month. And of course, this depends a lot on how much you're using, but I'd say the average electric bill is anywhere from $150 to $300. Now for your water, trash, and sewer charges, those might actually be included in your rent price, but if they're not included, then it's about an extra $100 to $200 a month, and internet is another $80 or so a month. So let's say you're paying about $3,000 in rent. Now let's add in all the utilities. Well, then you're at $3,400 now. And if your mortgage payment is at $7,000, then that goes up to about $7,400 a month. Hey guys, if you could just real quick hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, it would really mean a lot to me. It helps the channel grow and I can make more videos just like this. All right, so right off the bat, you're gonna be paying at least 10 to 20% more for food and groceries here. But again, if you're moving from a higher cost city, then it's actually gonna be cheaper for you. And for 2 people, we're spending right at about $150 a week for groceries. And we're usually shopping at either Sprouts or Trader Joe's, but Sprouts is usually a little bit on the pricier side, so you might save a little bit by going to somewhere like Vons, Ralph's, or maybe even Costco. Now, if you're a family of 4, you're gonna be spending about $1,000 to $1,500 a month on groceries. But if you like to eat out a lot, that's when things really start to add up, because restaurant prices here are almost 15 to 20% higher. So lunch is gonna run you about 15 to 20 bucks a person, and you're gonna spend anywhere from $20 to $40 on a dinner entree. Now, when we do go out to dinner, I'd say that usually for the 2 of us, we're spending about $60 to $70, and that's pre-tip. So make sure you add another 20% on top of that. And if you wanna grab a drink with dinner, well then cocktails are anywhere from $15 to $20, and a 16-ounce beer is right around $10. We also just love grabbing some appetizers for a happy hour, and a ton of restaurants around here have a really decent happy hour menu. All right, so you're definitely not gonna just sit around and do nothing all day long. So let's talk about what some activities are gonna cost you. And what's really cool about San Diego is that there's a ton of stuff to do outdoors, and it's basically all free. We've got so many hiking trails, things like pickleball are huge out here, and of course we've got some amazing beaches. So you can just hang out and relax, or if you wanna be more active, then there's beach volleyball meetups, surfing, or maybe just a fun little bike ride down the coast. And some of my favorite beaches are over in Carlsbad and Encinitas, but there's also Coronado, Del Mar, La Jolla, and they all have a little bit of a different vibe to them. Also, health and fitness is a huge part of life in San Diego, so you might want to grab a gym membership somewhere and expect to pay anywhere from $40 to $150 a month. Places like Fit Athletic or Yoga 6, well, those are going to be a bit more on the higher end. There's also LA Fitness and 24-hour fitness, and those are going to be in the $40 to $70 range. And there's a ton of free outdoor fitness meetups like yoga at the beach or even some running clubs, so you don't always have to pay for a gym membership. And these are super fun because a lot of these groups are basically big social events, so it's a great way to stay active and meet new people. Also, we have over 70 golf courses, and Torrey Pines is probably the most famous one we have. And a really great perk about Torrey Pines is that San Diego residents get a hefty discount. So instead of about $240, it's actually only $70 for us. But there's also a ton of other courses, and I'd say the average price is between $100 to $150. Now, a big part of our culture here is the craft beer scene. So if that's your thing, then you're absolutely gonna love San San Diego. And one of my favorite places is Stone Brewery in Escondido, and they have one of the best backyard patios, and it's just a really great atmosphere there. And most of the breweries are dog friendly, and on the weekends they're always doing live music or food trucks, so it's just a really fun time. Alright, so taxes probably aren't the first thing you think about when you're moving, but they'll definitely impact your budget here. Because California state income tax is one of the highest in the country, and depending on your income, you're gonna pay anywhere from 1% all the way up to 13.3%. But for most of the people that live out here, they're paying somewhere in that 9 to 11% range. And if you end up buying a house, then you'll have to pay property taxes, which is about 1.2% a year. So let's say you buy a home at $1 million, then you're looking at around $1,000 a month for property taxes. And some houses have special assessments, or what we call Mello-Roos taxes, and those are gonna be a few more thousand on top of your basic property taxes. But we also have Prop 13 here, so the assessed value of your home cannot increase by more than 2% a year. So on that $1 million house you bought, the most your property taxes can go up the next year is to $1,020, so only $20 more a month. Another one you want to think about is sales tax, and right now San Diego's base rate is 7.75%, but in some of the other cities here it can be even higher than that. So over in La Mesa, Del Mar, or National City, you'll actually see rates closer to 8.25%. And we've also got one of the highest gas taxes in the country, which is one of the reasons why our gas prices are so high. So yeah, definitely something you want to keep in mind before you move here. Okay, so if you've never been to San Diego, then you'll probably be shocked with how big the county is. It's actually in the top 1 to 2% of counties in the entire country, and it's the 9th biggest in California. So basically my point is that you'll definitely need a car to get around. Everything's really spread out, and even if you live in downtown San Diego, you'll still probably want to have a car. Over 90% of people who commute here end up driving, and less than 5% of households don't even have a car. So that pretty much shows you that almost everyone has one here. And we do have some public transportation, but honestly, it's not that convenient, and I don't know anyone that uses it for commuting. But sometimes it's fun to jump on the coaster to get down to a Padres game, but it's not really something you're going to be using a lot. So basically, you're going to be driving almost everywhere, so you'll have to fill up gas quite a bit. Now, gas prices in California are the highest in the country, and San Diego's prices are in the top 10 highest in the state. So we're at about $4.56 a gallon right now, and I go through about 15 gallons a week, so that's just under $300 a month. And make sure you live as close as possible to where you're working, because our freeways get really backed up during rush hour, so you don't want to waste all your time sitting in traffic. And keep in mind that you'll need insurance, which will run you about $200 to $250 a month. And for whatever reason, if you drive a Tesla, then it's going to be way higher at about $400 to $500 a month. All right, and now that you know what it really costs to live in San Diego, let's talk about how people can afford it out here. Now, some of the highest salaries are in tech, biotech, and healthcare, and we have some big defense and military companies here. So if you work in any one of those fields, then you'll have a ton of opportunities here. San Diego actually has the highest concentration of military assets in the entire country, and we have some of the biggest companies like General Atomics and Shield AI. There's also 5 different military sites around the city of San Diego, Camp Pendleton, Miramar, and one over in Coronado. Also, San Diego is a huge medical hub, so there's lots of different research facilities, and we have some of the top ranked medical care. All right, so looking at the most recent data, well, the average salary in San Diego County is $80,000, which is right about 30% higher than the national average. So yeah, it's definitely way more expensive to live here, but we also have a higher salaries here. And look, even if you're making $80,000 or $100,000, it can still go by really quickly if you're not paying attention. So you still got to be super mindful of how you're spending. But we also have some positions that pay a lot more than $80,000. So let's say you've worked your way up to a manager role. Well, some of those salaries are over $200,000. Also, some high-level executives are making over $250,000 a year. Hospital managers are over $150,000, and of course, physicians and surgeons are making anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 or more. So yeah, San Diego's definitely on the pricier side, but I honestly still think it's totally worth it. And hopefully now you know exactly what it costs to live out here. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime. And if you're thinking of buying a home in San Diego, make sure you send me an email or shoot me a text. All of my information is on the screen or down in the description. So it's super easy to get a hold of me, and I'm happy to help however I can. And even if you're not making a move right at this second, still make sure you reach out, because there's a ton of things we can work on before then. So that way, when you're ready to move out here, everything will just be way easier. But also make sure you watch some of my other videos, or maybe just watch this one right over here. They're all super helpful, and they're packed with a ton of information on San Diego. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.